Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is the MBTI personality type assessment of Steven Spielberg. But before we dive into this topic, I would like to underline something about my book. It is written from a health science point of view, so we'll be looking at the anatomy, physiology, brain dominance, and so forth of the 16 MBTI personality types. And based on this information, you can determine your own type. And then, since I do advocate that like, you can determine who's the best romantic match for you long term. So let's go back to the topic at hand. So if we look at the 16 MBTI personality types, they can be grouped into four main ones. The first ones are sensor judgers, the second sensor perceivers, the third intuitive thinkers, and the last one intuitive feelers. Based on my observations, I believe that Steven Spielberg is a sensor perceiver, and I will explain why. I have some notes on screen so I don't miss anything. Steven Allen Spielberg is an American film director, writer, and producer. He's the most commercially successful director of all time. A consistent theme in his family-friendly work is a childlike sense of wonder and faith that the goodness in humanity will prevail. He was born on December the 18th, 1946 in Ohio. He is now 76 years old. His immediate family were Orthodox Jewish. Spielberg has three younger sisters, Anne, Sue, and Nancy. He attended Hebrew school from 1953 to 1957. Stephen had a bar mitzvah ceremony when he was 13. His family was involved in the synagogue and had many Jewish friends. Spielberg found it difficult accepting his heritage. When he was around 8 years old, he occasionally was embarrassed by the outward perceptions of his parents' Jewish practices. He suffered from anti-Semitism when he was in school, and I quote here, "In high school, I got smacked and kicked around. Two bloody noses, it was horrible." So it was a difficult time for him. At age 12, he made his first home movie, a train wreck involving his toys. Throughout his early teens and after entering high school, Spielberg made about 15 to 28mm adventure films. In 1966, his parents divorced. Spielberg moved to Los Angeles to live with his father while his three sisters and mother remained in Saratoga. He aspired to be only a filmmaker. He applied to the University of Southern California's film school, but he was turned down because of his mediocre grades. He eventually studied at California State University. In 1969, he dropped out of college to begin directing television productions for Universal. It made him the youngest director to be signed to a long-term plan with a major Hollywood studio. Spielberg returned to Long Beach in 2002 to complete his Bachelor's of Arts in Film and Electronic Media. He is the recipient of various accolades, including 3 Academy Awards, 2 BAFTA Awards, and 4 Directors Guild of America Awards, as well as AFI Life Achievement Award. Some of his well-known movies are E.T., Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, and Munich, but obviously there's a long list. In 1985, Spielberg married actress Amy Irving. They had one son together. His name is Max, and they divorced in 1989. Their divorce settlement is one of the most expensive in history. In 1991, Spielberg married actress Kate Capshaw. Capshaw converted to Judaism before they married. They have 5 children together: Sasha, Xavier, Destry, and 2 adopted children, Theo and Michaela. He also has a stepdaughter. Her name is Jessica. Interesting enough, Spielberg was diagnosed with dyslexia at age 60, and when it comes to his political leanings, he usually supports the Democratic Party. So he does support candidates such as Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama. In terms of support of different causes, in 2008, Spielberg resigned as an advisor to the 2008 Summer Olympics in response to the Chinese government's inaction over the war in Darfur. Spielberg resigned also as a member of the National Advisory Board of the Boy Scouts of America in 2001 because he disagreed with the organization's anti-homosexual stance. In 2008, Spielberg and his wife offered their support to the same-sex marriage in California. In 2018, Spielberg and his wife donated $500,000 to the March for Our Lives students' demonstration in favor of gun control in the United States. His current net worth is about $4 billion US. If we look at Steven Spielberg's life trajectory, it is typical of center perceivers. So at an early age, he was attracted to the entertainment business, but more specifically, filmmaking. So he made his first movie when he was 12 years old, and he had the support of his parents. So these parents were really encouraging in terms of giving him the tools and giving him space to explore his creativity. And Steven Spielberg struggled in school. Well, we know now that he was diagnosed with dyslexia. That's one aspect. But also when it comes to center perceivers, they have a short attention span. They're easily bored. So, traditional school is usually not for them. And Steven Spielberg was a below average student. And the other aspect is the fact that obviously he was bullied, so that didn't help. And he was of a small stature. He was more of a gentle, sort of a soft-spoken type of person, so he was more of an introvert. So for all this is that he probably was not the type to be able to defend himself, being aggressive. And he has this gentleness about him. So all this to say is that it is not surprising that, first of all, that he really wanted to become a filmmaker, but that school was not really the right environment for someone like him. But the good thing is that he did go to college. He majored in filmmaking, and he dropped out for a year or two just to pursue directing, become a professional already. So in other words, you'll see that they tend to do better in the real world than in the academy setting when it comes to center perceivers. So that's one thing. So I think that this really personifies what I would say in terms of the normal a path of center perceivers. That's one aspect. Now, whether or not Steven Spielberg is a feminine versus masculine energy, I would say it's pretty self-evident that he is a right brain dominant. So in other words, if you watch most of his movies, most of his movies you probably start crying because he knows how to draw this sort of emotional response. And even when he talks, there's a gentleness to him. He's not someone who's really domineering. Although obviously he's well known and he has quite a bit of influence when it comes to Hollywood. But he really comes from the heart. He's someone I think most people would feel comfortable being with, and also the fact that in terms of his directing, he did a number of movies with children, and he knows how to interact with them. So I think most of these actors who are much younger probably feel safe being directed by someone like Steven Spielberg. So he has not lost this sort of wide-eyed, childlike sort of wonder, and you can see that in his movies. So his movies, his personality, the way he talks and so forth, really sort of point to someone who is more of a feminine energy than masculine. So if you look at his function stack, he will have introvert feeling either as his first or second function stack. Now, whether or not Steven Spielberg is an introvert or extrovert, I would lean more towards being an introvert. So if we look at the 16 personality types, they have been dubbed, different names. And I would say that Steven Spielberg really comes across as the artist. So in other words, I would say that Steven Spielberg likes to be behind the camera. He doesn't like to be in the center of attention. You rarely hear about scandals about his personal life and things of the sort. Yes, he was divorced, but in other words, he's someone who likes obviously to create, but he's not someone who craves attention. And there's something really subdued about him. And even in terms of if you watch the movie The Fabelmans, is that when he's facing troubles and so forth, he retreats into his work. So that's how he actually probably processes. So in other words, he's someone who probably feels energized by being alone or with a few friends and family. So for all these reasons, I would say that Steven Spielberg is most likely an ISFP. So obviously it is dubbed the artist when it comes to the 16 personality type, and I think that fits him rather well. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this personality type assessment by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.